his NFL responsibilities. So with that said, Bill, we're going to talk about this in more detail tomorrow. So thanks for being on the Sports Exchange. As always, we appreciate you being on the program and your insights with everything. You're the best, Bill. That's all I can tell you, pal.
Right.
All right, we'll talk tomorrow. Bill, have yourself a great night and enjoy the game. Okay, buddy? Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
I'll touch on a little NBA, and we haven't really talked enough about it on this show, and I hope we get to do more because, the NBA is kind of a sport, and I don't know where you stand on it. You're a big-time Pistons fan, and you right. got to grow up in the times of Flip Saunders. You got to see him coach some of those great Pistons.
Deeper than that, man.
I know that, but that's the most recent great Pistons. The days of like Chauncey Billups and all those guys.
Well, Larry Brown was the coach that led them to the championship, but
yeah.
But the guy that I associate, and I appreciate their Pistons reference for sure. Okay, but Chuck Daly is for me.
Yeah, and a name that even I know of, and my NBA history is rudimentary at best. But I'm gonna, we live in South Florida, so I'm just gonna come out and say I really like the Miami Heat this year. I know it's only been a couple games, and Jimmy Butler, who's going off tonight in his first game, I have the numbers here. He's put up 21 points in 30 minutes played. He missed that road trip initially because of the birth of his daughter, but they have a nice, solid big three that not a lot of people are talking about in the East. You got Adebayo, the center, who has 10 rebounds tonight. I like him a lot. There's been a lot going on, and I'm very, very glad. I've liked him ever since we traded for him when I was watching it a lot, NBA with a lot more frequency. I really do like Goran Dragic. I think he's a big part of that team.
Well, I'll just say the Miami Heat of all the South Florida franchises has had more success than any of them. Mm-hmm. What else do I need to say? I've covered enough of their games through the years and the playoff wars that they've had. They're definitely. But we'll talk about NBA from time to time. I know there's a place for it. For me, I just want to find analysts that I feel that could be reliable insiders, and I just don't look for anybody. I want somebody where there's consistency with what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. And Bill's going to provide us that because he's a frequent guest on this show.
Yeah, he will. I'll give him his opportunity to do that. So. But meanwhile, one thing while we're waiting for Tom Shanahan to come on the line, and I'm going to make this public right now, is from time to time, Louis Adio Weiss is going to get an opportunity to come forward on the South Florida Tribune podcast. So we're going to let let Louis talk a little bit of music. So we'll give you updates about when Louis is going to come on there and not talk about baseball. So that's a little something for Louis to look forward to as well beyond his sports responsibilities. So. Any questions or comments about how things have gone so far?
No, I think tonight's been one of the better shows we've had in a while. Right. Even though he did get called in a little late, we understand the location problems that Keller has, but he was a fantastic guest, just kind of a Michigan lifer, and he kind of brought us into his world a little bit. I mean, not as much for you. I'm sure he immersed you, but you're so deep in the navy blue and yellow that he's just kind of adding fuel to your fire for your love for Michigan football. Yeah. So. But for me, as somebody who has a couple of friends, I have one friend who's a massive Patriots fan. He's a massive Michigan fan. He'd love to hear a conversation like that. He's somebody I'll point out to listen to this show tonight because he's one of the biggest Michigan fans you'll ever meet in your life. So, I love talking to people like that. I love talking to people who have their feet so steeped in one, organization or one respective school that they can kind of just make you feel as if you're a part of it too. So, it's fun. This has been one of the better shows that we've done. A lot of interesting storylines. Obviously, we've got NFL trade deadline. We've got Shanahan calling in. We're going to talk a little basketball and a little bit of college football, too, I'd assume.
We sure are. And we want to welcome our Tom Shanahan back to the Sports Exchange. Tom, I'm glad to have you back. Appreciate you, pal.
Yeah, glad to be back.
All right. Well, we're going to take you out of your comfort zone a little bit and not talk totally ACC football. But we have an ACC tie-in, and we're speaking about the Michigan Wolverines against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Obviously, the Irish go ahead and play 5 or 6 games in the ACC, but let's talk about your thoughts about the Michigan-Notre Dame game per se first.
Big surprise. Michigan, it didn't look like they were ever going to get it together. They had that new offensive coordinator they thought was going to be their answer to their problems, but maybe they're one of those teams that's going to come on in the second half.
Right.
They certainly look like a strong, powerful team. They've been good on defense already, and so if they can control the ball on offense, that's going to be a tough team to beat, even maybe for Ohio State.
Yeah, they put together 6 really good quarters. We're talking about the final 2 against Penn State, and then the effort carried over for the dominating win against Notre Dame for sure. Do you think that, Notre Dame, I know they like to maintain their independence, but at some point or another, don't you think Notre Dame should just join a conference full time?
Yeah, you would think so, but they're adamant they're going to stick the way it is. Last year they finally got in a playoff. It was looking like they were getting blocked out of by the conference champions, and they got in. So that kind of validates their opinion that they only want to play for a national title. But now they got 2 losses. So I don't know. In the long run, I think they would have a better chance if they were full members of the ACC. But they might also be banking on, in a couple years, the tournament expanding to 8 teams, and then that would be easier for them to get in as an independent.
Oh, I'm sure, no doubt. So any final thoughts about Michigan Notre Dame before we go on to LSU versus Auburn?
No, well, what worries me about it is, let's say Michigan did beat Ohio State, then we're looking at having an all SEC tournament. I can see the SEC clamoring to have 3 teams in the tournament. So we've increasingly, the college football playoff is boiled down to just 3 or 4 teams that are just heavily loaded with talent advantages. Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, and then I don't know if LSU, this might just be a one-year thing with their quarterback, and then Ohio State in the Big Ten, and everybody else is out of the mix. They just can't recruit the kind of talent that is all funneling to the same 3 or 4 schools.
Okay, well, that's a good point. So let's go on to LSU versus Auburn. I watched that game. Ed Orgeron is a much better coach than most people think that he is. He's done a really good job down in Baton Rouge.
Tried telling that to some people at USC, and they let him go.
Oh, yeah, I was waiting for that. Good stuff.
And now they're probably going to end up getting rid of Clay Helton.
Right.
Again for a new coach. So, yeah. Orgeron, the big difference is having that quarterback, Joe Burrow. It's such a musical game of chairs. Joe Burrow leaves Ohio State because he can't play there. Justin Fields leaves Georgia and goes to Ohio State because he can't play at Georgia. So the whole college football scene is just getting too professionalized, in my opinion. And now we have this the NCAA finally acknowledging it's time to look at the name and likeness image. And who knows where this is going to go.
Yeah.
I can't see anything but the wild, wild west coming out of this.
Well, I'm glad you stuck your 2 cents about that. Save me from asking you the question. Let's go on to Wisconsin against Ohio State. I personally don't think Wisconsin will never be better than good because they play a weak non-conference schedule. They do. Until the Badgers continuously start playing top caliber competition early, that to me, Wisconsin is going to be nothing but good only. Some thoughts?
Yeah. Well, the Big Ten has 2 tiers now. Right now, it's Ohio State all the way at the top, because they're able to recruit SEC-like talent, and then you have the other Big Ten teams that are all a notch or 2 below, and then I guess there's a question of whether Michigan can start to finally show some progress under Harbaugh,
right,
because they still get their fair share of 4-star quarterbacks, but that's my concern. If you look across the country, in the Big Ten, you only have Ohio State. They're all by themselves with the talent they recruit. In ACC, you only have Clemson. They're all by themselves. In the SEC, you got Alabama and Georgia, maybe LSU. It remains to be seen if LSU can still put it together after they don't have Burrow anymore at quarterback. And then Oklahoma seems like they're falling behind. They're not able to recruit as many 4-stars as they used to because they're pretty weak on defense. And then the Pac-12, but doesn't have anybody at that level. So, again, I'm repeating myself, but I'm just worried about the college football playoff becoming a Southern tournament.
No. I mean, I don't care if you repeat yourself. I call it reinforcing. Let's talk about the Oklahoma versus Kansas State game. First of all, don't sleep on Kansas State. They hired a really good coach, I believe. Was it from North Dakota State or one of those FCS schools? And he's made them very credible in that first year. And Oklahoma, Kansas State is a much better program than most people think.
Yeah, and then Oklahoma, the thought was that they'd improve their defense with the new defensive coordinator they brought over from Ohio State. But again, maybe that defense isn't that good, and if their defensive talent is on the level of the other Big 12 teams, they're going to be susceptible to an upset like that. And I don't think they can win in a college football playoff. I
don't think so either. No, I'm with you there. I mean, Kansas State exposed them, and they exposed them badly. 48-41 shootout.
Yeah. Unreal. Let's see. I'm just looking at Kansas State. They've lost two conference games though, so they're must be kind of a young developing team. See, they lost 2 in a row to Oklahoma State and Baylor. Now Baylor, that's another interesting team. We'll have to see how they continue to develop. They haven't lost yet. So Kansas State, yeah, I agree with you on Kansas State. They got a good young coach, but we'll have to wait and see.
So, all right, let's go. Now that we've covered those 4 major games, which I really wanted to talk about, I think North Carolina pulled out a win against Duke over the weekend. Mac Brown gets a win over David Cutcliffe. That was a pretty interesting contest.
Yeah, Mac Brown, he's really surprised. Mac Brown is the Herm Edwards of the ACC. A lot of people said Herm Edwards was too old and he wouldn't be able to do the job at Arizona State. And he's doing a great job at Arizona State. And if Mac Brown was going to turn it around, I didn't expect it to be this quick. Even though they've lost some games, every one of their games has been one possession, one score. So he's injected some new energy into that program. And the Coastal Division is a complete mess right now. You might have a team with 3 losses winning that division. Before, I thought it was going to be 2, which is what Pitt did last year. But with Pitt getting beat, it could easily have a 3-loss team, maybe even a 3-way tie for first.
Well, let's not lose sight of the fact that North Carolina gave Clemson a game. And if it weren't for the fact that last play was a failed 2-point conversion, that Clemson could very well be looking at a straight line that goes north and south like a number 1, as in loss.
Yeah, then we'd have a 14 SEC college.
Right, that's my point.
North Carolina, that was a tremendous performance by them. They got a freshman quarterback named Sam Houston, who had committed, I believe, to Florida State. It might have been Florida. But when Mac Brown got the job, he's a Charlotte kid, so he was able to flip him to North Carolina, and I'm sure he didn't make any promises to him, but it made it clear to him that there wasn't much talent in that quarterback room, and that he had a very good chance to win the starting job. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I totally agree that the more and more you see some of these older coaches come back. Bear in mind though, Mac Brown took some time off, in the broadcasting booth to recharge himself. And a lot of these guys did, so they got that energy. Once you're a coach, Tommy, you're always a coach no matter what happens, even though you talk behind a microphone. They're just waiting for their perfect opportunity to go ahead and make a change. Yeah, and he said he learned a lot from just watching other coaches. One of the things he learned that he promised his wife he wasn't going to let the losses eat him up so much. And then one of the other things he learned, he was always second-guessing coaches for maybe going for 2 points or not going for 2 points. Right. And so when he went for 2 points to beat Clemson, that was based on all the games he'd watched. He just didn't want to go. He didn't want to kick an extra point and go overtime with Clemson. It was then, now or never, if they were going to beat him. Well, first of all, you mentioned this, and I'm going to reiterate on this. Okay, Tom. Mac Brown's on house money right now. North Carolina was bad when he got there, so therefore, and he definitely is a well-respected name, which is why they brought him back in the first place. So when you're talking about a guy that's on house money, sure, you can make a chance or two like that, because I think it's only, if they're competitive this year, holy moly, can only imagine what they're going to be like next year. Yeah, and in addition to just the record, let's see, they're 4-4
Right.